Hi, another game from the World Cup, round one. Nakamura with the white pieces versus GM Abdullah Mollah with the black pieces. Knight f3 from Nakamura. Knight f6 g3, b6, bishop g2, bishop b7. So we had some kind of Queen's Indian type looking position. And now it's looking like a hippo. c4, bishop g7, d4, castle, d5. Just shutting up this bishop right here. Knight e4, of course, trying to make it difficult for white to develop. Knight c3. Knight fd2 is challenging the active knight. Queen takes d2. And now white continues his normal development. To me, this is already a good position for white. Has more space in the center. And any pawn move for black on the e file is going to leave black's pawn structure decimated. So this type of situation is bad news for black here. He has to figure out what to do about this bishop also. Nakamura is just playing real simple. He's going to put the bishop on b2. Queen b6. Offering the trade right here. And of course, once these bishops are traded off, and then you have weak dark squares around the king. And this is all what the doctor ordered for Nakamura. This pawn cannot be captured, by the way, because of knight f6 check. And knight d7 is played. For example, if bishop takes d5, then knight f6 check, and now you can see the e takes, ruining the pawns, and bishop takes d6, and white is better. So he plays knight d6, d7, excuse me, giving the knight a bright future on these dark squares. Now Naka fortifies the d pawn. Rook fe8 again. To me, it's just a bad strategical setup because black can't really move those pawns without making his position, deteriorate in some fashion. h4 by Nakamura. Already he's working on the queen side, excuse me, the king side, missing the fianchetto, and he's just going to attack black. Knight e5, h5. Finally, the bishop gives up and says, hey, I got to get off that diagonal. Rook d4. Again, everything is geared toward just attacking over here on the king side. Opening up the file. Bishop, excuse me, the queen, which is acting like a bishop on the diagonal. Eventually, the knight would like to go there and just sack, and mate, as Fisher would say. Bishop g4. H takes g6. H takes g6. f4. Of course, this knight has to be kicked off because this is an important diagonal. F takes e2. Good move by Nakamura because that knight is very important to get out of there. D takes e5, and now we can see that Abdullah is depending on this pin of the rook and putting his chances here. Queen takes e2, queen d4 check, just giving up the rook with no problem. and queen takes b5. Now you have a situation where you have these two minor pieces, and for a rook, what's dangerous about the white position, besides having the two minor pieces, is these two pawns right here. It's 2-to-1 majority on the queen side. Let's keep an eye on that. King g7. Knight f2, providing some shelter for the king. Black has defended well against white's intended attack on the king side, as he's consolidated somewhat, and now it seems that black is even turning the tables and conducting an attack of his own. Rook h8 check, king g1, and now rook a d8. Another possibility is queen c3. Rook a d8. It's understandable that black wants to keep an eye on this pawn, but it seems like black should be trying to utilize his pieces in a more aggressive fashion. After all, this pawn can't really advance because the pawn on d7 can capture it. So he should be trying to place his rook more aggressively on the a file. Maybe put this rook here and try to penetrate down, or even another idea is queen e3 again, with the same idea, attacking this pawn. Rook d1. Now he does queen e3. Queen d3, offering exchange of queens. Now I believe the endgame is going to favor white here, because these pawns are all bunched up over here, and black has basically an extra piece, although it's a minor piece. And GM Mollah felt the same way and wants to keep the attacking possibilities alive here. Rook c1 by Nakamura. Rook c8. And this is a strong move right here. And to me, this is it's a strategic error right here. This is an exchange that you really don't want to have to make. I mean, why not a move like queen a5, attacking this pawn, and keeping the queens on the board, for goodness sake. Right, attacking this pawn, even, the eyes on a little spite check down there at e1. I'm not saying that black is winning or anything or better, but just the spirit of the game, it seems that black should be trying to keep the queens on the board. The problem with this move, though, and this idea, is that after queen c4, white dominates the c file. Even after queen e8 check, just bishop f1, and then now the rook is forced off the c file, and then white can start harassing himself. This is why, although he didn't want to do it, this is why GM Mollah traded rooks, even though strategically bad. But that means that you have a bad position when you're forced to do something that you don't want to do. Or, in layman's term, it's called being in between a rock and a hard place. I showed you the rock, and now here's the hard place, or the other option. The other option is rook takes c6, and then connecting the pawns for white on the queen side, so that Now white has a powerful 3-to-1 majority, and there's also has a clean pass pawn. Remember before I was saying how this D pawn could stop the E pawn could stop white's D pawn. Well, the white D pawn is now in a C file, and there's nothing that can stop it. Bishop is supporting it, and it's going to be a nuisance for black the rest of the game. Rook D8, Queen C3, Queen D4, now offering exchange of queens. Nakamura says, all right, let's do it. Although maybe Queen C1 was still a bit better here. Not straightening out the black pawn structure. So here's Naka's idea. Even though he helps black somewhat in straightening out the pawn structure, he goes immediately into this blockade. And now F5. F5, critical error. Allows C7, of course. This idea by Nakamura is very strong because the black majority, pawn majority on the king side is crippled. For instance, at the E5, C7, Rook C8. None of these pawns can really move because, let's say, for example, knight C5. That puts the brakes on this pawn and this pawn. And then say if F5, then just simply bishop E7. So there's F5. Nakamura goes for a sharp tactic. He could have just played C7 there, but he goes for the fork. Nothing wrong with that. King F6, and now he plays C7. Knight protects. Timing is everything in chess. King comes out, and that is all she wrote. Black resigned. There's no way to stop bishop B7. So just clean game by Nakamura. Black had a little bit of play there, but nothing hair raising that Nakamura had to worry about. I do like Nakamura's opening because it was like strategically after this right here, it was like I felt that strategically black was already kind of impoverished as far as like ideas in the position. It's really hard to do anything. You can't move the E pawn because you're always going to have some type of structural damage. That pawn on D5 is just a killer. And so far I've analyzed this game and Magnus Carlsen's game, and I noticed both the black players have played like these kind of strange looking systems, and I don't understand why you would give somebody that's 2800 like such an opportunity to just set up a big center, and dominate the center like that. I'm nobody of importance, but it's better to play classically. If you get beat, you get beat, but don't give your opponent, don't give like Magnus Carlsen, an easy, 2 pawns in the center, a bishop pair, he's just gonna destroy you. And it's like this position that Naka has is just too basic. That space, black can only weaken himself as the game goes on, and then he just had a clear win. So I'm gonna look at some more games. So just hang in there, and I'll see you in the next video.